Hey guys, today is going to start our study of inequalities. This week we're going to be looking at inequalities that have only one variable, and next week we are going to look at inequalities that have two variables. So just to remember, the sign, kind of the triangle at the bottom, is less than. All right, this sign right here, when there's an equal sign under it, is less than or equal to. When we flip it, remember the big old alligator mouth eating the big number, that one is greater than, and then if you put the line under it, it's greater than or equal to. All right, so just remember those as we're going through these inequalities. When we have an equation that the solution is an inequality, we can graph that solution on a number line. So for this problem right here, 946, it says write an inequality that represents the solutions on the number line. Because the solution is not just one number, you have to show it as an inequality. A closed circle means that that value is included in the inequality. So in this case, x is going to be greater than or equal to. So a closed circle would have to be either greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. It has those equal to bars under it because it includes that value. So back to A, x is greater than or equal to 1. That means that any solution that is 1 or bigger than that is going to work in that inequality. For part B, we have an open circle, so it does not include 1. So that means it's not equal to, so we would have to use either less than or greater than without the equal to bar underneath it. So in this case, x is going to be less than, because the shaded bar is in that direction. All right, or less than 1, I was going to say, or equal to. Nope, it's not equal to 1. It's just less than 1. So that is how we graph an inequality, something that you guys are going to be doing today in your IXL practice. All right, today solving one-step inequalities is just like solving one-step equations. You follow the same steps. You want to isolate the variable by undoing the operation that is happening to that variable. So I'm trying to get u by itself, and I totally made a mistake. Hopefully you found my mistake. Whoopsie, I added 12. I shouldn't be adding. How about I subtract 12 from both sides? So when I subtract 12 from both sides, these cancel out, and u is going to be less than or equal to a negative 14. The part today that is going to be maybe new to some of you is graphing on a number line. If we were doing this paper and pencil way, and you would have to draw your number line, I would say go ahead, draw a quick line, always put 0, then put the value that you are going to need to graph, which in this case is negative 14. It's called the bounds or the constraints, which is negative 14, and we are going to be less than or equal to, so I'm going to put a closed circle, and I'm going to darken the less than 14. All right, you could, if you wanted to, use a different color. Some people put the closed circle and kind of do an arrow like that above the line. Any of those work. Today on IXL, obviously you're going to be doing it a little differently digitally, but if you were to write it, that's what you would do. Just this next one here I wanted to show you because what's going to happen is a little crazy. We want to isolate the variable again, so I want to get h by itself. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. This cancels out, and I get negative h is greater than or equal to a negative 1. Wah, wah, beep, beep, beep. Hey guys, this, if you haven't been listening yet, listen now. This is the biggest rule of solving inequalities that you're going to want to remember. All right, so as we know, we can flip the signs of both sides in order to figure out what h equals, because I don't want to know what negative h equals. I want to know what h equals. In an equation, that's easy. I just flip the sign of both sides. However, in an inequality, negative h is the same thing as negative 1h, right? We assume that it's negative 1h, but we don't have to write that negative 1. So in order to get h positive, I would have to, or ultimately what I'm doing, is dividing both sides by a negative number. Here's the special inequality rule that I do not want you guys to forget. When you multiply or divide both sides of an equation by a negative, you must flip the sign to make it true. So you must flip. Sorry, this is going off the graph there, or the slide. You must flip the sign. So if I divide this by a negative, all right, I'm going to have an H. This gets flipped, is less than or equal to, and then it becomes a positive 1. Otherwise, your inequality will not be true. If I were to graph that, then I would draw a quick number line. I'm going to put my 0, my 1 right here. I'm going to have a closed circle because it's less than or equal to, and I'm going to point it to the left because it is less than. So again, if you multiply or divide both sides of an equation, so no matter if you multiply or divide, just those two operations, both sides by a negative, you have to flip the signs. That is a rule of solving inequalities. All right. Okay. So in summary, when I'm graphing an inequality on a number line, such as this one right here, which is x is greater than or equal to a -1, we have a closed circle because it is greater than or equal to, and it goes to the right. Less than, all right, would be an open circle and to the left. Please let us know if you have any questions. If you get through IXL really quickly today and you get all the way to 100 without your 20 minutes of practice, that's okay. You can stop if you get to 100. All right. Otherwise, 20 minutes is what we're looking for. Thanks, guys. Have a great Tuesday.